I never thought silence could feel so heavy, but after Emma disappeared, silence became the only sound in my life. The house was full of it, the walls soaked in it, every room echoing with the absence of her laughter, her footsteps, her voice calling my name. I didn't realize, until she was gone, how much a human being fills the space they live in, how much their presence pushes back against the void. Without her, the void pressed in on me. 3 months. That's how long it had been since Emma vanished. She was walking home from her night shift at the diner, only 6 blocks from our house. She never made it back. No broken phone, no bag left behind, no witnesses, just the lingering warmth on the couch where she had sat that morning, sipping her coffee and kissing me goodbye. That warmth had long since faded. The police were polite at first. Posters were stapled to telephone poles. Volunteers knocked on doors. Cadaver dogs sniffed through alleys and basements. Days passed, then weeks. The leads dried up. The phone calls slowed. The officer's eyes turned tired and apologetic. And eventually, the case file, with her name written in thick black marker, was shoved into a drawer with 100 others. I didn't stop searching. I couldn't. Every night I drove through the city, calling her name out the window, begging the shadows to give her back. Sometimes I thought I saw her in a crowd, her dark hair flashing like a beacon before being swallowed by strangers. Once I even chased a woman down 3 blocks, only to have her turn, furious, and reveal a face that wasn't Emma's. I started to dream about her, not the comforting kind of dream. These weren't memories of happier times, but twisted visions. Emma standing in the kitchen with her mouth sewn shut, her eyes blackened pits, her hand pointing toward the basement door. Emma sitting in our bed, but her skin pale and stiff, her smile cracked and bleeding at the edges. Emma whispering, "Follow me." I woke from those dreams drenched in sweat, shaking, desperate to hear her voice again. And that desperation is why I answered the call when it came. It was a Tuesday, gray and wet, the kind of day where the whole city feels like it's sagging under its own weight. My phone rang at 3:17 in the afternoon. The number was blocked. When I answered, the voice on the other end was calm, professional, detached. "Mr. Harris." "Yes," I croaked. "This is the county morgue. We believe we may have found your wife. We need you to come in to make a formal identification." The world stopped moving. I sat frozen in my chair, the words circling in my head like vultures. "We may have found your wife." I didn't breathe until the silence stretched too long and the voice repeated itself. "Sir? Can you come in today?" "Yes," I whispered. "Yes, I'll come right now." The drive blurred. I don't remember red lights, or traffic, or the song playing on the radio. I just remember gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles were white, my vision tunneling, my heart punching against my ribs. Every thought tangled into one impossible knot. She's gone. She's gone. She's gone. The morgue, squatted at the edge of the city, a square of concrete and steel with no windows, no decoration, no life. Inside, the air was too cold, thick with a sharp sting of disinfectant and the sweet rot of decay that not even bleach could mask. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, their hum loud in the silence. A man in a white coat met me at the front desk. His eyes were dull, his skin pale, as though he had been drained by years of staring at the dead. He introduced himself, but I didn't catch his name. All I remember is his voice, soft and flat, as he led me down a corridor lined with steel doors. "Are you prepared to see her, Mr. Harris?" he asked. No, I would never be prepared. But I nodded. We entered a small, windowless room with white tile floors and a single gurney. The man put on gloves, gripped the handle of a drawer, and with a screech of metal on metal, slid it open. Emma. My knees almost gave way. Her face was pale, lips cracked, eyes closed, her dark hair spread like a shadow against the sheet. Stitches ran down her chest, neat black threads pulling the flesh together like the seam of a doll. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab her and shake her awake, but I just stood there numb, the buzzing of the lights drilling into my skull. The man spoke, some cold words about preliminary autopsy and release forms. I barely heard him, because in that moment, her eyes opened. They flicked upward, glassy at first, then sharp, focused, filled with something alive. My breath caught in my throat. The man didn't react. His expression didn't change, but I knew what I saw. Then her lips moved. Her voice scraped through the silence, dry and broken, but undeniably hers. "Daniel." I stumbled back, clutching the wall. Her mouth trembled, cracked, bloodless. "Don't leave me here." The room tilted. The air thickened. My chest collapsed inward. I spun toward the attendant, shouting, "She spoke! She's alive!" But his face didn't change. His eyes were blank, like he hadn't seen a thing. He only muttered, "Please sign the release form." Emma's hand twitched, slowly, painfully, her fingers curled, reaching toward me. "Daniel." Her voice was louder now, raw, tearing itself out of her ruined throat. "Follow me." The lights flickered. The room swam. I fell to my knees, staring, as the stitches down her chest split open, one by one, the black thread snapping like brittle wire. But there was no blood. Instead, a thick, tar-like fluid oozed out, dripping onto the sheet, spreading like ink. Her body convulsed, jerking like a puppet pulled by unseen strings. Her jaw cracked wider than humanly possible, the skin splitting at the corners, and a sound poured out. A scream, a wail, a note that wasn't a voice at all, but the shriek of something old and endless. The man in the white coat put his hand on my shoulder. His grip was cold, freezing, biting through my skin. "If you want her back," he said, his voice flat and mechanical, "you must go where she went. She is waiting for you." The walls vibrated. The tiles trembled beneath my feet. Behind Emma, the far wall shivered and peeled away, revealing a door I hadn't seen before. A door black and slick, pulsing like flesh, breathing with a sound like 1,000 lungs gasping in unison. Emma's body floated from the gurney, her feet dragging across the floor, her eyes locked on mine. She raised one trembling hand, pointing to the door. "Follow." And I did. I don't remember choosing to move. My legs carried me forward, past the attendant, past the gurney, straight into the dark. The door opened with a wet tearing sound, spilling a stench of rot and iron, and Emma's hand gripped mine, pulling me through. For a moment, the world vanished. When I woke, I was in my own bed, or at least it looked like my bed. The sheets were damp, stained with black fluid that clung to my skin. The air was heavy, the house unnaturally silent, and then I heard her voice. "Daniel." I turned. She stood in the doorway, smiling, but it wasn't Emma's smile anymore. It was too wide, too sharp, too hungry, and I realized then, with a clarity that froze me to the marrow, that I had followed her somewhere I was never meant to go, and I had brought something back with me.